Sorry, I get the feeling something is bothering you.
Oh, this show. It is sad what a multi-billion-dollar company of industry is doing to the work of a nature-loving genius of literature. Episode 5 of the second season of The Rings of Power is just the same shit you expect it to be by now. It has remember the Lord of the Rings movies moments, magical new ring powers, and breaks lore. But mostly, it's just boring and hard to watch. This episode starts with seeing the completed 7 Dwarven rings. Durin the Third picks one up, and while he's walking away, the plot decides that, hey, they have the whisper powers of the One Ring, and they convince him to put it on. Well, these rings are definitely corrupted, and they apparently do some of the same shit as the elf rings, so I guess the elven ones are corrupted too. Well, until the plot needs them to not be. Durin the Fourth is still trying to figure out how to dig out to the sun, because the dwarves refuse to farm outside for some reason. And even though they have doors to go outside, they can't figure out which direction a window goes. But have no fear, Papa Doran is here with fancy new bling, and he tells them where to dig. Turns out it was just a bit to the left and a bit more, like few inches to maybe foot deep. Because I guess the king was sitting there with a pickaxe for like a day. Everyone is in awe because they thought he was talking shit and doing a dumb for mining in a foundation wall. But now it's cool. Everyone believes and likes the rings now. Well, everyone but D's nuts.
Ha! Got him! No! None of that! Shame on you!
She thinks it's cheating that they don't sing to the rock instead. Cut to Eregion, where Celebrimbor is making a speech about how great it is that dwarves and elves work together, and to commemorate the occasion, they create a big stone tribute. But not just any stone, the magically sealed moonlit doors of the Mines of Moria, as seen in The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. Hey, you remember that iconic scene, right? Didn't you ever want to see the reason behind it being made, and the fact that it was just like this weird hanging piece of pre-made rock? Man, it looks like they just picked it up from Dwarven Depot and then went and bolted it to a mountain.
Visible only by moonlight, and guarded by a password known only to friends.
Oh, look, he hinted at the speak friends and enter thing. Oh, I remember that. Oh, what better times. I love thinking about that movie, not what I'm currently watching. Wait a minute. Quit trying to distract me from picking up on your bullshit show. Anyways, while the dwarves celebrate, Celebrimbor sees that Sauron is standing on the balcony being all sulky. They have some cringe dialogue about how long Celebrimbor's speech was, and eventually get to the point of Sauron being the big sad that man aren't also celebrating getting some rings. Celebrimbor doesn't want to talk about it, but Sauron is insistent. Comes off a little desperate, honestly. Because he knows there's only 3 episodes left and they need to get moving. God forbid the show takes its time and not feel like the entire Second Age happened in a week. I think in the actual lore, it took about 100 years for all the rings, including the One Ring, to be forged. But anyway, Celebrimbor makes some decent points about how men are still easy to be corrupted, and that they don't really seem to be that bad off based on reports he's been getting about the whole Adar situation. At least not bad enough to really justify risking making the rings. Sauron goes, but they are, trust me. He doesn't really have any real compelling arguments or evidence, and for the first time in the show, Celebrimbor doesn't fall for it. At one point, he even calls out that Sauron likes planting ideas in heads, but then Sauron just goes, fine, I'll do it myself. And this does not raise any red flags for Celebrimbor? Like, dude, you just said no, absolutely not, admitted he plays you sometimes, and when he is just so desperate to do it, he decides to do it all by himself without you there to oversee it. You barely know this guy, and you're absolutely dead set on man not getting rings. He should have had some more doubts than what was on his face right now. We then go to Numenor, where Pharazôn is now king, saying, hey, yeah, turns out I want more power. He apparently is jealous of the elves and wants to be king of the Undying Lands or something. Meanwhile, Blind Queen Lady, who is, I guess, not in jail for doing the no-no with elf items, is talking to Elendil about how some people still want her to be queen. She tells him keep his head down and not lose his position. He immediately does not keep his head down and loses his position, along with other pro-queen soldiers. But the people love him, and this just bugged Cayman. Oh, look, racist Pharazôn is doing hypocritical things with the elf ball. When the revolting people of the Eagle Day have made sure that this thing was destroyed, it was like their one thing. But no, I guess when Pharazôn orders it to be okay, it isn't a bad thing. Okay, back to Eregion. We hear Celebrimbor narrating the letter he sent to Gil-galad saying, hey, I pinky promise I'm not making any more rings. Not really sure how that letter managed to get through the Barrow-wights and orcs and shit when the other one did not. The quick safe path was still destroyed. Well, I guess this letter was just written on plot armor. Then after the letter narrating, we see Gil-galad being advised to ignore Galadriel and the Adar Eregion situation and to start to move on Mordor, where they still think Sauron is. Gil-galad gets some stock footage visions, and we see Elrond remove the cloak of -3 speed. And then back to the dwarves. Dee's is talking about her whole the rings are cheating thing to Durin, and then they go shopping. She buys a rock ball, and you guessed it, she drops it, and it just conveniently rolls down the alley and down a set of creepy stairs that anyone could access into creepy chamber of plot convenience. She sings to the ball, because why not? And then her song is also answered by creepy sounds that we all know is going to be the Balrog hinted at the last season and in the trailer. We see King Durin talking to the stewards of the other Dwarven lords, and he is telling them about how awesome the rings are, but he's not willing to just hand them over to his Dwarven brothers. No! You see, the rings are starting to twist his mind and enhance his greed. He wants the other dwarves, including his own followers, to give him percent of the profits of whatever they mine in order to be given a ring. After this meeting, we see Durin making the decision to mine deeper into Moria in order to get to the gold veins he had previously marked as off-limits. But Durin's son overhears this and warns him not to because Dissimilama Ding Dong heard the spooky sounds. King Durin goes, nah, the rings told me it'll be fine, so we dig. And back to Eregion. Again, Celebrimbor hears some commotion happening with Sauron and the other smiths and goes to see what's up. Some tools start floating and flying across the room, a fire explodes, and an anvil falls from the ceiling, and Celebrimbor catches a floating hammer and starts to feel around, and oh my god, Britannia was invisible. She was in the unseen world and freaking out, describing what she saw that the audience can interpret as the fire version of Sauron, and she was just trying to defend it off. How that made the forge explode? I don't know. Until the invisible bullshit, I thought it was Sauron playing a trick with like telepathy in order to convince Celebrimbor to help, because without him, the rings they made would not be able to be controlled. But no, it was another, hey, remember how the one ring could do this? Well, here they are, figuring out how to do that. God, I hate this show. Celebrimbor goes, oh, you made this ring all wrong. And Sauron goes, hey, then could you tell us how to fix it, maybe? But before Celebrimbor says the solution, he's interrupted by a guard. Turns out Durin's son is there to lodge a complaint about the Dwarven rings. So Celebrimbor forgets what he saw and just never brings it up again for the rest of the show and goes to talk to Durin. Sauron convinces Britannia that what she saw was like essentially Celebrimbor's life force or something, and that he's losing his power when forging the rings or something like that. He didn't want her to see it because he was going to heal Celebrimbor after the rings were made. Britannia immediately falls for this shitty answer and promises not to speak about it to anyone ever again. While that completely unconvincing dialogue was playing out, Celebrimbor is talking with Durin, who says, hey, the rings are changing my father. He was never greedy, man. You must have fucked up. And who the fuck is this Anatar person anyways? He's probably corrupting you, bro. Celebrimbor goes, no, it can't be. But clearly, some distrust was sown. And we are back at Numenor. I guess the funeral for the dead from Mordor is still happening. I have no idea how many days after the eagle thing all this is happening. Keeman and guards walk in going, get the fuck out of this sacred place. It's about to be destroyed for the new aqueduct. He breaks a relic and Elendil punches him. Before Cayman can punch him back, his son stops him and they get into this really shitty fight. Okay, 1. What the fuck are those guards doing in the background? Forget those people and go save the fucking king's son. 2nd, the former soldier is just like tackling this guy a lot, then gets almost drowned. Cayman was never really shown to be a trained fighter, so Valandil should have just wiped the floor with him. He does eventually win, and it looks like he's going to kill Cayman. The guards are still doing nothing, but he is stopped when Elendil tells him to. But then Cayman stabs him in the back and he dies. Like a fucking course he would have, you fucking idiot. You are dead either way. He just tried to drown you. The least you could have done was get rid of this bitch and then get killed for that. Oh, look, the guards aren't busy anymore. Ah, Jesus, back to Eregion. When will this episode end? Celebrimbor is talking to Sauron about if they could have fucked up the Dwarven rings. He asks Sauron point blank, hey, did you corrupt them? He goes, no, we did. For you see, since you wrote a letter to your king lying about what you were doing, you began carrying this shadow of falsehood about you, and you put that into the rings. You must confess to your lies. Celebrimbor goes, no, I can't do that. I wouldn't be able to be a smith anymore. Then Sauron goes, well then, the next obvious and only other course of action is to say, fuck it, and make the 9 rings for men. Like, how the fuck did you jump to that logic? Like, really, there's absolutely nothing else that you could do. Well, apparently Celebrimbor agrees to that logic because he goes, I guess man are getting some rings. Cue another location change. We are back with the dwarves, and Doran is going, Dad, you're corrupted. Take the ring off. He goes, yeah, but what if I made you prince again? Cut to Doran the Fourth with, fuck it. These nuts, and he's wearing the prince ring, going, welp, I tried reasoning with him. These nuts goes, okay, well, you better not wear a ring or no more games of hide the pickaxe for you, and he agrees. Back to Eregion. Fuck me, this is gonna be a long video. Celebrimbor is doing an awkward, we are going to make the 9 rings of men speech to his team, saying, no one fuck up this time or it's your ass. Somehow he thinks they have to make the 9 rings fix all their problems, and then drops this little line.
New designs, new alloys, a new process.
Wait, isn't the whole point of the Rings of Power that they were all made the same way, and that's what the connection between them is? So they're saying men's rings are going to corrupt harder and turn the 9 rulers into the wraiths because different method and or more mithril? Yeah, fuck mithril, man. They're turning this into a magic fucking catch-all do everything rock, which is not supposed to be. I'm so sick of all this just use the MacGuffin bullshit writing they do nowadays. Oh look, Elrond is with Gil-galad. Wait, Elrond is with Gil-galad? Why isn't he at Eregion telling Kimbor about the massive fucking orc army outside his walls? Okay, he's telling Gil-galad that Galadriel was right, and Adar is at Eregion, and he needs to send the army. But Gil-galad listens to his ring instead and goes, no, we need the army at Mordor to fight Sauron. We can't fight both at once and spread the army thin. But Elrond just told you that Galadriel was right, and Adar is at Eregion, and that means Sauron probably is too. God, everyone in the show is so fucking stupid. Oh, look, it's Galadriel. I was really hoping we didn't have to see her this episode, but nope. She's in a cage at an orc camp and gets released for some reason. And the orcs are afraid of her because, of course, please, I don't like war because I have a little baby. Orc dad remembers he's supposed to be evil and bloodthirsty and goes to kill Galadriel. Adar stops him, but then Galadriel gets the drop on him and holds him hostage. I guess he should have just left her in the cage, huh? Well, he goes, I brought you here and didn't kill you because we have a common enemy. Cut to Sauron staring into the forge going, yes, I can't believe how easy this was. And the episode finally, thankfully, ends. The only thing I thought that was okay about this episode was seeing King Durin becoming more greedy. That is, from what I understand, more lore accurate. How the ring is influencing him, not so much. While the decision and actions are still retarded, I do still get some enjoyment out of the dwarves' performances and the fact that Doran the Fourth is actually like realizing some shit is going down. But God, all of Sauron's dialogues and how he tricks people is just dumb. I don't know if they're trying to imply he has like the ability to convince you because of like his aura or a spell or something. Or maybe just all the characters really are retarded and they just don't think at all. But it's just so bad. There's so much cutting between scenes and events and just made the whole episode feel bloated and long and rushed. There is no sense of time and distance. People just teleport where they need to be. I don't give a shit about the Moria door, and I'm sure they'll fuck up the Balrog. if they still plan on doing 5 seasons, they need to slow the fuck down. And that does not mean make the runtime longer. Speaking of runtimes, I really don't want to make this video longer than it needs to, so I guess I'll just end it there. Like and subscribe.
Until the movie just sort of ends.